BBC Sport is unveiling a new VR studio for its coverage of the Beijing Winter Olympics that will take viewers from a mountainside log cabin to a virtual ski resort. Good morning, broadcasters. 360 seconds news and commentary for broadcast professionals is on the air. I'm Maria Kholodova from TKT. Let's discuss the latest technological news with our respected experts, Philip Grossman and Ann Seidler. Please give the program a like. BBC Sport is unveiling a new VR studio for its coverage of the Winter Olympics that will take viewers from a mountainside log cabin to a virtual ski resort. The technology which drives the facility is a Viz 4 and Unreal Engine integration using the Viz Fusion keyer along with the NEXIS camera tracking system. Philip, how does this work and why is this important for the industry?
So it's interesting to see more and more, especially live productions using these virtual technologies, which I think is beneficial. One is it makes it interesting for the end customer. The systems are getting easier to use. The MOSIS system is designed to try and figure out where the camera is in a 3D space so that the computer system, the Viz and the Unreal Engine, can keep it in alignment as the camera moves. Where in the past, we really sort of had static virtual environments. The commentator stood there and there was a set around them, virtual set. Now with the Unreal Engine and the MOSIS systems and Viz, you're actually able to make something that looks a little more realistic. And I think it becomes more entertaining for the end customer, the viewer. It's not the first time that we've seen sort of these virtual type things done. I think they had virtual guests in the Summer Olympics, but this is, I think, the first time you've actually seen it as more of a set piece, integrating the Unreal Engine, which I think is interesting and is going to be, hopefully we don't see it overused. We see it used judiciously in these things,
So, Philip, we were talking a little bit earlier about the overuse of drones when they first came out. If you had to predict, where do you think the use of this virtual reality will be in a year from now?
I think it'll get overused as the technology becomes more accessible to the general filmmaker television studio. It will wind up being overused, just like drones. When drones came out, every movie, every TV show had 1,000 shots from a drone. I think you'll sort of see this as well, and then it'll eventually will settle out and figure its space in the storytelling environment. I think it's gonna have obviously a larger impact than drones did, but I think that we'll have to see. But I think you'll see some overuse, and then we'll figure out the right way to use it.
Technologically, do you think there'll be a bit of a boomerang effect, that it will be in a way cooler to actually be someplace than have virtual reality? Because it has that nuance in it?
I think a little bit. I don't think it'll be quite the level of, hey, vinyl records are better than CDs, because that's the way the musicians intended it. I don't think any musician intended all the crackle and pop. But if it gets overplayed, you'll be able to see the difference. I mean, you can tell virtual versus non-virtual. So it'll be interesting to see how they balance those.
Moving on to Avid, the Avid NEXIS Edge post-production solution empowers video editors to work concurrently on the same media content, sharing metadata and media on Avid NEXIS from anywhere. Project and bin metadata can be shared by editors, and content can be automatically converted to lightweight streaming formats. Philip, what do you think are the benefits of this release?
So, it was interesting to see that during the early portions of the pandemic, everything was got to move to the cloud. Everything's got to be in the cloud. We can do everything in the cloud. This takes a slightly different tact. Same concept, that you can be anywhere to edit, but they're now building it into their system to allow that remote editing to happen as transparent as possible within the system. I think they have a greater advantage when they have a huge installed base of the systems, of the Avid systems. And then they having had people now working remotely for a year or two who've become a little more used to it, that I think they're going to see a pretty big adoption amongst their user base. They've given them a solution instead of a piecemealed solution, which is a little bit of AWS or a little bit of Azure and somebody else's intermediary software. They've sort of given the end customer a solution within an environment they're used to.
And do you think this would have come as quickly if it wasn't for the pandemic and the sort of issues that a lot of broadcasters experienced at the time?
Yeah, I think that obviously the pandemic's driven a lot of this remote production use case. And there was if it had only been a month or two, we wouldn't have seen it as pick up as quickly. The fact that it was a very long, drawn out time frame, it gave developers a better understanding of what their customers needed, or corporations better understanding what their customers needed. So I think it has developed quicker because of this. That being said, there could potentially be a boomerang effect in that people like to interact with other people. We've figured out the technology for the creative side. We haven't really come up with really good technology for the interactive. A Zoom meeting to discuss things is not as good as being in a room with a whiteboard to discuss things. So there's still some hurdles that need to be done, but I think we've fixed one of the small pieces.
Great. Well, many thanks to our experts, Philip and Mary. Please comment on the topics we've discussed. We'll see you next Monday at the same time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.